Alrighty, so yesterday afternoon when we were out here, I was working on sorting through the plywood over here because this is what we're going to use underneath the wood stove to give it the hearth a little bit of height, as well as to hook the tile to on the back of the stove as well. And as soon as I started sorting through this stuff, I realized that I needed to do a little bit of cleaning as I was going through this. Not because of dirt, but because of these wonderful things called stink bugs. Now, if you don't have these where you're located, consider yourself fortunate. As you can imagine, they smell if you bother them or if you squish them or something like that. It's pretty bad. And I bet I had to have swept up at least 1,000. That's not an exaggeration at all. There were just tons of them. They like to get in between these tight spots in there. So I sorted through every sheet in there, swept all of them out, and then once I got that done, I was able to start sorting out some pieces that I think should work for what we need. So we've got some of it piled over there that's going to go underneath, and we got some more over here that's going to go behind it, and that all needs to be cut down to the appropriate size so it fits under there. And that's kind of where we left off for last night because I ran out of light. Now for today and tomorrow, we have our work cut out for us, or I guess I do, because the temperature has gone back up into like the mid 50s, up to like 60 or so. So it's warm enough that we can do painting for our window frames, as well as we can put down tile, because the adhesive for that also has a minimum working temperature. So we're gonna try knocking out both of those projects here over the next 2 days, and hopefully we'll get all that stuff done. All right, well, we got all of our windows painted on the one side and on all of the edges. Now what we got to do is we got to let this set for like another hour-ish before it's dry to the touch. That way we can flip them over and get the other side, let that go for a while. Then that'll probably be all we'll do on those today. But then tomorrow, hopefully we'll get out here and we can give it a second coat to make sure we got everything really well coated so we don't have to mess with that for a good while again. And while we wait for this stuff to set up and get dry enough that we can flip them over, we're going to take our plywood that we're going to be using for the hearth and whatnot. We're going to take that outside, get all that stuff cut to width and length and all that good stuff so that we're keeping the sawdust outside away from this stuff. And then hopefully by the time we get that done, this stuff will be ready to go again. Alright, so we got all of our plywood pieces cut, and those are stacked up over there, you can see. So those are ready to go with our hearth and stuff for the wood stove. But I just checked, and all of these window frames here are pretty dry. I mean, they're still a little bit tacky because it hasn't totally cured yet, but they're good enough that we can flip all these things over and get the other side of them painted. right, last day for this week. Our window frames have been drying overnight, so they are ready to go. So the first thing we're going to work on today is getting these things painted. We'll kind of do the same thing we did yesterday, where we'll do one side and get all the edges done. We'll let that set up. While that sets up, we'll start working on the wood stove hearth and that kind of stuff over there. And then once this stuff is set up, we'll flip them over, get the other side, and hopefully we'll be able to get all of our painting done and get all of that stuff done, or at least get the tile laid and stuff like that today while it's still warm before the temperatures cool back down next week. Alright, so we got our hearth plywood here ready to go. This is all screwed down to our floor joist, so that's really hooked in place very well. And then over here, that is what's going to end up going in back. What we're going to do is we're actually going to put the tile on while it's flat, because when that goes up vertical, it's actually going to be out over our hearth just a little bit, so I can't really put that in place and then put the tile up vertical. It wouldn't work very well to try doing that, so we're gonna do them both flat and then move that up there. Hopefully that'll work all right. I just read through the instructions on the adhesive and how to get all that stuff applied on there properly according to manufacturer's specifications. So we are gonna get going on putting some of this tile that we got stacked up over here on our hearth, getting that ready to go. All right, we are losing light, but we've got our hearth done and our backer plate done. And so what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna go fire up the generator. That way we can get our work lights set up and going so we can actually see what we're doing up here, because we still need to get the other side of these window frames painted, so that way we've got 2 coats of paint on the whole things so that they are ready to go in our windows. Well, first, of course, we got to get the window panes in the frames, but you know, they'll be painted and ready to go so that we can get them installed. Alrighty, hopefully you guys can hear me all right over the generator, which is powering the lights that make it so you can actually see me right now. Well, we got all the painting done on our window frames, so those should be good to go. Once those get dried, we can start putting the window panes in there, get our glazing in, glazing points, all that good stuff. and then finally start working on getting those installed in our openings over there that are covered in house wrap. That way we can get a little bit more light coming into the loft area up here this winter. Now all of this stuff is going to set for at least probably 2 or 3 days here before we're going to be back out here, so both the paint and all this tile is going to get plenty of time to set up and get really well cured and dried and whatnot before we start messing with that again. For next week, we're gonna kind of have an end of the year, what we've gotten done and what we're hoping to get done for next year videos. So it's gonna be a little bit different from what we've been doing here recently with actually, you know, working on projects. So that's what we'll be doing for next week, just so you guys are aware that it's not gonna be quite the usual thing here. So I think that's gonna be it for this week. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. I will see you next time.